Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be here today to be co-host for the webinar for today. Good afternoon to everyone, and I would like to introduce the honorary speakers today, which is Dr. Everett Chance. Before we start for the educational webinar for today, give me some time to introduce our speaker, our honorary speaker, Dr. Everett Chance. Dr. Everett Chance is a doctorate in psychology, Master Science in Learning, and Master in Nutritional Medicine, Bachelor Honor in Psychology. Besides that, I would like to take some time to introduce Dr. Everett Chance's backgrounds to everyone that participating for today's webinar. Dr. Everett Chance is Principal Consultant Psychologist at International Psychology Center and also the Principal Consultant Psychology at Psychops. Besides that, Dr. Everett Chance is also a board-certified corporate psychologist and member of the International Society for Psychotherapy, Counselling, and Psychiatry. Besides all this, Dr. Everett Chance is also a fellow of the Malaysian Associations for Psychotherapy, fellow of the World Council for Psychotherapy, and also Dr. Everett Chance always are an honorable speakers in numerous forums, talks, and Dr. Everett Chance was invited by LPPKN, Minister of Women's Society, Social Unity for Family Health Forum, the 5th World of Psychotherapy, and the 37th European Psychiatry Conference. Dr. Everett Chance also a keynote speaker for the International Psychotherapy, Counselling, Psychiatry Conference. Besides all this, Dr. Everett Chance is also actively involved in publishing, author and co-author for numerous research journals and books, such as author of Love May Not Be Enough, co-author of Handbook of the Current Research Practices on Cognitive Behavior Therapies, CBT in Asia. Dr. Everett Chance also published in the Journal for Reattached Therapy Developmental Diversity, Journal in Cognitive Theory and Research, and International Journal of Psychiatry. Besides all this, but not least, Dr. Everett Chance also accredited as Reattached Therapies and also accredited M.Sc Clinics Therapy. So we are very honorable to have Dr. Everett Chance today for this educational webinar titled Master Body Language to Lead and Influence People. So let's welcome Dr. Everett Chance for the speakers for today. Dr. Everett Chance.
Thank you, Yuli. Thank you, Yuli. And I believe Yuli is one of our students. In fact, she has already graduated from some of our accredited professional certification courses in various forms of psychology. You've done one in psychological assessment, was it?
I think speech, and currently I'm taking the CBT actually.
CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, fantastic. So welcome. So this is part of the learning process we have for our students in our professional certification courses at IPC as well. I'm glad for you to take up these learning opportunities, Yuli. We are all learning here, and I see some of our past students. Joanne, welcome. Joanne is also an expert in body language. She has enrolled in this forensic psychology, the body language training courses in Australia. In the Schema Therapy Institute. So I'm sure she can contribute a number of points on today's topic as well. Yeah. Right. So the topic is very specific today. It is on how to use body language to influence others, and I think it mentioned for leaders, right? Did they mention for leaders or not? Yes, if you want to be a leader. Yeah. But actually we are all leaders, right? So that is just a misnomer, because we are leaders in whatever role we wish to play, all right? And we need to influence others. So this is specifically what the topic is about, and why body language is because body language is a very important part of communication. So there is a very famous research. Maybe someone know about this. You know, what is the percentage of communication is body language out of 100%? Anyone know?
It's 90%, Dr. Everchan.
That's a little bit too high. but close, right? Yeah. What do you think, Joanne? What's the percentage?
Was it 80, if I'm not mistaken? Was it?
Yeah.
80?
So it's around 8. So
the non-verbal behavior.
Exactly. So the verbal part is only like 7%, right? The verbal content of communication, right? This is a research established many years ago. So in fact, I see Dr. Anna here. Welcome. So that was an interesting research, right? Done in America, whereby various medical doctors, right, medical practitioners, and they like blur out their speech, right? So you cannot actually hear the content of what they're saying, but you can hear their tone, their tonality, you know, and all that, which is also part of body language, right? Your tone, your pitch, and all that. And they ask various people to rate according to their competency and also their, you know, their compassion. All right. So it is possible. So there are the various doctors, right? Regardless of their competency, they are rated according to their tone of voice, right? So people are able to rate it. But the interesting thing is those that are rated highest in their compassion, in their empathy, showing care, has the least amount of lawsuits. You know, in America, that there are very common doctors get sued, right? So, but those that are highest in competency, but if they are rated lower in terms of compassion and empathy, regardless of that, they still get sued, right? So whether you get sued or not, you know, it doesn't depend on your actual competency, but on your ability to convey compassion and empathy to others. All right. So when we talk about influencing others, there are two components. All right. So we often think about competency only. You must come across as being competent, but that is only half of it. All right. So like these medical doctors, you know, we saw in that experiment, they actually, it doesn't matter if they are come across as highly competent, people still make a lawsuit against them if they are not happy, right? So there are two aspects. Tommy, is your photo ready or not so much?
Yeah, my photo already ready.
Can you share screen? All right, this is a photo of by Leonardo da Vinci, one of the most famous painter of Jesus during the Last Supper. All right, so you see the portrait of Jesus. Look carefully. All right, look carefully at the portrait of Jesus. All right, and then tell me, what do you see? What is interesting about his portrayal? Anyone care to observe? Anyone want to make some observation? What is Leonardo trying to convey to us? Right, you have seen great body language there. Sorry? Yes, anyone can observe?
I'm sorry. Everybody is seems like talking about the middle person.
No, okay.
Yeah,
I just want you to observe Jesus. Right? Forget about the others for now. Just Jesus. What do you observe about his body language?
He is open.
Partly open. How do you deduce that he is open? What is his body language to suggest to you he is open?
His hands is not crossed across his chest. Is down on the table, and his chest is wide open, meaning he is open to receiving ideas. I'm not sure.
Who is saying that, by the way?
My name is Akmal.
Akmal. Okay, you are there, but if you look at the hand, there's one hand which is upside down with the palm up, right? So this is where it suggests openness. He's open, right? He's compassionate. He's ready to listen to you. He's open. But how about the other hand?
One is closed.
Yes, it's down, right? The other hand is down. So what does that indicate?
He is balanced to receive some.
Now that indicate he has authority.
Authority, okay.
Authority, right? You don't want to have a person just open, be a doormat, and that we will not respect. So to have influence on others, you both must have authority, right? Competent, and as well as openness, right? You need to have both, right? Just openness alone is not enough. Just authority alone also is not enough if you're not open, right? People will be scared of you, and that they would not be able to connect to you. So in order to be able to influence others as a leader, you need to have both authority and openness, right? Empathy, compassion to receive, as well as to make decisive decision, authoritative decision at the same time. So the Leonardo was able to capture that and convey to that, even though you know about this, but subconsciously you can see that openness, and as well as he is obviously authoritative, but there are specific signs, right, in his body that convey that, which we can all have. Another piece of very interesting research that I can quote to you is the Kennedy-Nixon debate, right? I think this was in back in 62 or something, right? Back in the age in America anyway, where most people are still listening to presidential debates by the radio. So quite interestingly, half of the population of America, all right, watch the debate by television, and half listen by the radio. Okay, and you would have the poll of the audience normally after presidential debate. I don't know whether you watch any presidential debate, but in U.S. election, it is one of the decisive factor to predict who wins a presidential election according to their debates, right? How they perform in the debates. But interestingly enough, those people that watch the television think that Kennedy won the debate. But those who listen to the radio, they think Nixon won the debate. So it's a clear division, right? Depending on whether you heard the debates by radio or you see it visually. So what do you think happened there? Why is there such a difference in the opinion of who performed better, who won the debate? Any idea? And this is linked to what we were talking about just now, right? In terms of body language and things. Any idea? Why do you think that there's this difference?
Kennedy's body language was better than Nixon.
Right, you're right there, right? So, but on the other hand, Nixon's tone of voice was competent, and authoritarian. He sounds like a president, right? If you just listen to him, you think, okay, this is the president. But when you watch it, at that time, unfortunately, Nixon had an accident on his leg. He injured his leg. He was like crouching, right? And Kennedy was relaxed. He was tan, been to the beach. So body language, Kennedy won hands on, right? But in terms of the voice, the competency, it was Nixon. So this is a clear demonstration that, visually it carries more weight if you see it, right? If you combine both. But if you have to just hear it without watching, then which is not very often the case, which is why today we have a lot of these online sessions these days. If you're doing training or you're talking to your team member, turn on your video, all right? Then you can communicate better, because most of the communication is not from your verbal content alone, even though that is important, right? It enables you to convey competency. So the question is, what aspects of your voice, like Nixon, convey competency? Any idea? How do you sound competent? First of all, is it a deep voice or a high-pitched voice? What do you think?
Deep voice.
Yes. So luckily, I'm blessed with a deep voice. but for those of you who do not have one, and there was one interesting, I forgot who it was, a woman, right? A woman leader. She like deliberately tried to put on a deep voice, right, to convey more authoritarian, more competency. I need to turn down my phone. Sorry. Yeah. But one day when she was like out drinking and things, she went back to her normal high pitched voice, and the game, the cat was out of the bag. So what is the moral of the story? Do not go drinking. No, it is you need to try to have a natural deep voice, and not like in a sentence you have like a high pitch. People think you're not sure, like a question, right? Some people speak like that. If you observe, that always end a sentence with like a question. But I've talked quite a bit, Yili. Maybe you have some things you want to reflect, or anyone want to reflect on what some of the things that I have said, or you have specific questions that we can go deeper into this interesting topic. We are not hearing you clearly, Yuli. Right, you need to say again. We lost you there.
You hear now better?
Yes, better
Okay.
now. I think maybe your microphone is not next to you or something. Right. Okay.
So
Yes.
basically one question, because Dr. Body language, we know that is very important, of course, in no matter whether you are a leader or not, right? So
well, like I say, everyone is a leader. All right. We're all leaders, right?
Yes. Question: How do we train body language? Of course, like just now what Dr. Ever say, yes, lucky that you are born in deep voice, but for those that we are not born with deep voice or strong.
Well, I mean, just like like my wife, she is taking singing lesson now, right? which is interesting. So you can train your voice, right? To we all have a range. It's not like when you're high pitch, you will have a range, but you just need to be aware. So having this attending this webinar, and of course we have more advanced courses, like we have a course in code reading, which is about how to use body language to read people, and not to say manipulate, but to influence, right? People for positive reasons, right? But it's true, right? If this can be potentially dangerous, right? For those with say psychopath, narcissistic personality disorder, then they use this to as the tools to manipulate people, right? This can be used for good or bad reason, but hopefully we all use it for good reason, how to influence people in order to contribute to society, to our work, right? That is our intention. So first of all, you need to be aware, right? What are the things that would increase these two aspects if you want to influence people? Increase your appearance of competence and also your openness. All right, these two must be kept in balance, right? No point that you increase only your competence, then you lose people. People think you're inapproachable. You might be like an Einstein or something, but nobody want to approach you, right? Like Steve Jobs, very competent, but I don't think any employee will dare to approach him, right? He will fire you, he will abuse you, right? He is not open to taking like suggestions and things. But on the other hand, you can be very open, but if you're not perceived as competent, then there's no point. So you need to know what are the body language for competence and what are the body language for openness. Like we mentioned just now, your hand, right? Like Obama, he used to do this finger pointing, right? So this is very authoritarian, but later he changed it to this, right? So this is like a thumbs up as well, but it's also authoritarian, right? So it's more like accepting and open, right? Someone must have coached him. I don't think he will know himself from this to that, right? So this is an example, right, of awareness of specific body language that can be used. I talk about the voice, all right, and the other thing is the feet, right? I am afraid we cannot demonstrate the feet here. Maybe those in a big group can. So they are in our brains mirror neurons. You know what are mirror neurons? Yes. So these are neurons that would almost like force us to mirror someone. So if I smile to you, you will automatically, involuntarily smile back at me, right? This is it's like you have no choice because you have a mirror neuron, unless you are like a psychopath, and then well, this is the other piece of the research. They find psychopath and even sociopath, their mirror neuron is less physiologically, right? So there's a physiological difference as well. So that's why they cannot be as empathetic, right? Because of some deficits in their brain. But one thing that we do not have mirror neuron is our feet. All right, so that's why the feet never lies. All right, if you smile, someone smile back at you, you don't know whether they really like you or not because you're smiling at them. They're forced to smile back at you. But if the feet is pointing away, then you know there are some issues. All right, so watch the feet. The feet never lies. So this is one little bit for example. Okay, so hope that answer your question, Yili. So you need to be aware of all these different body languages, specifically to do with competence and openness if you're interested to influence others, right? To lead, to influence others, and we all need to influence others. No one lives in an island, right?
Thank you, Dr. And also the tips of the feet about that. So we will take note on that. And for today's participant and student, yes, I think that one will be one of the great tips that we can use it every day. So for the participant for today, any one of you that have any questions that you want to raise out to check with Dr. Everts on today's topics?
So what do you think, Joanne, so far? You have Anything to from the, so what do you learn on your recent course on schema in forensic psychology, that what they talk about body language?
Yeah, we don't really focus more on body language, but we focus more in terms of the forensic populations, which are schema therapy can actually fix psychopath. So there are some case studies as well, but we focus more on the 4 hot modes that we talk about: the bully and attack mode, the self-aggrandizer mode, conning and manipulative, and the predator. Of course, the conning and manipulative mode, it's of course most of them are like forensic patients. We talk about personality disorder, so they can mimic just because they wanted to be released, you know, to fight in the court. So they can really mimic all the behaviors just to be a very good friend with all the therapists in order to get a good report to be released. So I think it needs a lot of practice to look at a person's behavior, because sometimes it just takes a split seconds of a twitch of moment, whether they are lying or whether they are not lying. I'm not too sure, because I heard this one thing is that you got to know one person much better in order to read their body language. Is that true? Or is it that they say if a person is lying, they tend to rub their nose a little, or they will start drinking water because they get very
maybe Tommy, you can get someone to bring my book, Dancing with Crocodiles. Actually, I've written a book on corporate psychology. I've written several books, but this one specifically is on body language, right? So there are the whole chapter in my book about how to tell when someone is lying.
Oh, wait.
Right. I mean, although the I'm not sure. Let's backtrack a little bit to ensure that this topic is fitting into today's topic, because we don't want to get our topic. Of course, body language to tell people lying is there. All right. So this is due to something called leakages. All right, and of course this is linked to influence. All right, I'm trying to connect how it's linked to influence. Regardless of how well you master your body language, right, there will be leakages, because there are things that subconsciously you do, like you mentioned, you know, rubbing your nose or something. So when we lie, subconsciously, there are a few things that you would do, right? You would maybe tend to look away, because if you wouldn't want to like maintain good eye contact. You know, you have something to hide. All right, you might pull your seat, if you're, you know, physically, you might pull your seat for the back, right? So you might twitch your hand. So there are telltale signs, leakage signs, right? So thank you. So this is the book, Dancing with Crocodiles. You know, for those that are interested, there are whole chapters on what body language I call it, effective dealings with the ethically and morally challenged in the business and corporate jungle, right? So that's why it's Dancing with Crocodiles, morally challenged. But anyway, there are leakages, but of course, and this is the whole. You know, if you have a chance, go and watch a video of poker players. All right, you can see how they, you know, they try all their body languages, whether they like the cards or not. You know, that they would like sit back, lean back, relax. If they like what they see, is already giving a lot of tips away, even though they try to master their body language. Anyway, how did we get to this topic of lying? All right, lying. Joanne, you were the one that bring it up. So lying is of course very much related to influencing others, right? If your audience is perceiving you as lying, even though you try to show powerful body language, then they're not going to be able to trust you, right? So you need to be authentic, right? Unless you are able to master the body language, which is impossible because there will always be leakages. If you try to manipulate others and lie, it will leak. So that is when we say, you know, this knowledge can be dangerous, but it's also maybe not totally dangerous, because even though you are a psychopath, there will still be leakages if you're well trained to pick it up, right? But then on the other hand, all of us will subconsciously pick up what we call incongruence. Incongruence means what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you, you know, you're great, but then, you know, my feet is pointing away, and my tone is not like very warm. Then I'm not really congruent or aligned with what my message to you. All right. So people trust more the body language subconsciously than your verbal message, because verbal message is only 7%. That is why we need to convey our communication, our message, also using our body language, and to ensure that it is the same and aligned and congruent with our verbal message, right? So incongruency is can be picked up big time. So being a therapist, as many of you are in this audience, you need to use body language.
So,
right?
Doctor, one quick question
Yes.
regarding about like you being as a therapist yourself, right? Isn't that is a very tough job that you need to really process so quick, to listen to what they say and then to watch their body language at the same time? How do you know, with a short time, you tend to process it, everything so fast?
All right. So there are, according to the Zen Buddhism, three level of competency, right? So that the first is like ignorance. You don't know anything, and you don't pick up anything. Just like when you learn to drive, right? The first stage, you don't know anything, so you are truly ignorant. But then the second stage is when you are conscious, right? When you first learn to drive, you be aware. I mean, nowadays you don't use the clutch anymore, but in the old days, you know, when I drive, I need to learn the clutch, the brake, all these things. You know, you're conscious of it, and when you drive, you know, you're very conscious of it. You know, and then the last step is unconscious competency. So once you have mastered it, you are no longer thinking about it. No, when you drive these days, I'm sure you don't think about the clutch and thing. You know, you're just able to respond. Like when I play tennis, right? It's so natural in me. I respond to, you know, it's becoming like my instinct. But behind that, you practice hours and hours, right? Of awareness and also the execution of those shots, for example, if you are doing tennis. So this is the three level to answer your question, Joanne. You know, at first you need to be aware of this, you need to practice, you know, get supervision, and then finally it is natural already. It is you know, you don't want to think about it. It is part of your unconscious competency, right? Which is where we want to get at, so that we remain open, right? Rather than thinking all the time whether what this person is the body language is telling me. Initially, you might do that, but after a while, you know, you connect the dots backwards, like Steve Jobs said. After that, you think about it, right? So, any other reflection? Anyone? Yidi. We can't hear you very well, Yili.
participant for today would like to have reflections on today's topics or any questions that you might wanted to check with Dr. Evans?
Specifically on this topic.
Yes.
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 Yeah. So since we talk a little bit about the role of a therapist, so the same thing, right? As a therapist, you know, your patient come to see you, they expect you to be competent. Otherwise, no point to come and see you. They might as well talk to the friends, right? But at the same time, they expect you to be open, right? That you are able to listen to them, to be empathetic, right? So you need to convey these two points of body language and even the verbal language to your patient, right? How to appear, to project competency and openness, right? So these are the two key qualities that your followers, your patients, your team members would all be expecting for you, right? For those of you who are doing training, this is the same thing, right? So the two qualities. So we have talked earlier, you know, how to use your tone of voice to deepen it, to convey competency, right? And and also the gestures, open hand, you know, authoritarian hand. So these are the two aspects that you need to be aware of, even as a therapist or in any other role. It's the same, right? Yeah.
Doctor, I just want to have a quick chat with you because as I think most of the participants here are the leader. So just want to check any tips for us to improve in terms of body language. You know, sometimes when we are nervous, when we are talking, you know, on stage, or we want to persuade or influence people, of course we need to show confidence level. But sometimes the nervousness in us actually leakage up to the participants or to the audience or to the clients. That, you know, sometimes, yes, that like what Dr. Everett said, it might not show competence enough to persuade or influence the other people.
Yes. Right. So we need to talk about stress, right?
Yes.
So you're nervous because you are stressed. All right. So certain amount of nervousness is good, right? And how what do you do? How do you deal with nervousness, right? I can remember. So I can use the term recovered. They call it what? Recovered addict. Is that a recovering addict or recovering addict? Maybe Dr. Anna, you can help me out. Recovering addict is it? But you can use the term recovering nervous recovering nervous person, right? So we are all like that. No one's you know, just unless you're a total psychopath, right? Then you have no emotion, then you won't feel nervous. We all feel nervous. So first of all, we need to recognize that and convey it to our patient to normalize things, right? So what I'm doing here is normalizing the situation for you, right? I'm in the same boat as you. So this is one thing you can convey to help to create this empathy. So I remember I was in a medical conference, you know, one time there was like hundreds of doctors, and there's one question, right? I wanted to ask to go to the mic to ask, but I was I don't want to be nervous, but my body is very nervous, right? I can feel literally pain at my back, physical pain, right? I wanted to go up to the mic, but I felt this pain on my back physically. What do? Right? I can choose to like sit down, don't ask, right? And the pain will go away, but then it doesn't go away. It will follow me, right? So what I did was I confront the pain, I embrace it, I went up despite that, and asked my question. I forgot what was the question, but then the second, third time it's gone, right? So now I have no hesitation going to thousands of people in any conference and ask any question, but it has to be, of course, a question that really puzzles me, right? I'm not asking there to like make some point or anything, right? So so that would be my advice for nervousness. Recognize that you have the nervousness and recognize that it is normal, that you're not abnormal, that you know that there's nothing wrong with you. It is normal to have a certain amount of nervousness and stress, but on the other hand, that's a choice, right? We can make just like I remember when I was in England, I had an accident, right? In driving, luckily it was okay. But after that, right, the next day and the day after, I was like very nervous to drive. I feel like am I going to be knocked by the other car? But I embrace that, I confront that, and I proceed to drive. But if I have avoided, you know, which would be easy, I avoided that situation and choose not to drive, then the nervousness would increase. So that's the thing psychologically. The more we avoid our nervousness, the more we avoid our fear, the bigger it becomes. That's how people develop phobia, right? So we need to confront what we are afraid of course, step by step, right? And this is the advice we can give to our patient to find a step by step. I mean, there are two ways to do it. You can do flooding, but the dropout rate is very high if you recommend that to your patient. If they survive that, then they'll be cured. But on the other hand, you know, it'll be highly stressful. And or you can do it step by step to confront your nervousness. If you're talking about giving a speech or training in front of a crowd, then it will be helpful to plant a few supportive friends there that you can just look at, you know, and get the connection, the support, you know, that to give you that encouragement. But if you look at someone who's like frowning at you and things, then they might increase your stress level. Right? So that is why video is very important on this online age, right? Especially if you are nervous and then you have a whole row of blank, you know, video there, then you don't know who you're talking to, and it might be scary for some, right? Whereas I see a lot of you are smiling. That's cool. Yeah. Does that answer some of your question, Yuli?
That's like because I do believe that everyone here that we have to face, yeah, just like what Dr. was saying, no matter where are you, even in islands, you do have to face people in our daily life. So of course, mastering these body language skills is a necessity, I would say that. So, but Dr. Evan, I do experience some of my friends, right? Like their culture, like for example, when we are trained to look at people's eyes when we talk, because the connections they want to get. But certain culture, they don't really wanted to look at the eyes because that is a mannerism for them, because they don't look at the eyes because it's a manners culture teach them. So is that, how do we connect with that using body language? Like when we met this type of culture, you know, that they don't look at the eyes level.
Yes, of course, there are cultural differences in body language, right? Like Japanese culture, you know, you don't look at the eyes. There's a very nice film that I saw recently called Living. You know, it's been nominated for the Oscar, coming up soon in a few days' time for Best Actor. You should see it. It's Living. It's called Living, but it's about a person that is dying. And why is it called Living? because in order to die well, you need to learn how to live well, right? So in this film, you can see that there's very structured. It's actually very interestingly, this film is based on a Japanese film. It's a British film, but it's based on a Japanese film, right? So that shows you Japanese culture and even British culture. There are a lot of similarity. But you can see in the initial stage of the film, there's a lot of body language to do with respecting the leader, right? Like for example, the leader never travel in the same compartment on the train as the subordinates. And when he walk, he will always be a few steps ahead. You don't like walk too closely with him, right? And you don't look directly at his eyes when you talk. There's that, no doubt, you know. And I think I mean, this is my idea. I think that the culture, you know, most culture had this hierarchical authoritarian culture, like the Japanese, even the British, right? The British more in the old days. But as society become more democratic, right? The body language shifts, right? From like bowing, not looking in the eyes to now, you know, it is more democratic, more collaborative, you know, people look at the eyes. Even like Freud, right? Sigmund Freud, the father of psychotherapy, you know, you know where would he be sitting in relation to the patient? Where would Freud be sitting?
Okay.
Sorry?
Opposite, is it?
No.
Or
He will
beside?
be sitting behind.
Oh,
I have received psychoanalysis by the you know a few psychoanalysts before. In order to be a trained psychoanalyst like Freud, you need to receive this analysis. So Freud will be sitting at the back, right? But for us that seems strange. Why is he sitting at the back of the patient, right? For him, that is because he doesn't want the patient to be influenced by him, right? There are two reasons actually. Some people think the real reason is because he is very shy and very introvert. I don't know how true it is that, but his clinical reason is he doesn't want the patient to be influenced by him. That's why he's sitting at the back, right? But the person that put it 180% degree opposite was Carl Rogers, right? Carl Rogers, you know, very famous therapist as well, talk about being authentic, right? Being authentic to the patient. So you need to expose yourself, you know, to the patient and be authentic to the patient, and the patient cannot see you as authentic if you're behind him. You know, he will know what you're thinking or feeling. That's why you need to show yourself and be authentic. So that's why in today's therapy we sit opposite, right? But it has not always been the case. So I think if you still do psychoanalysis, you'll be sitting at the back, right? The analyst will be sitting at the back so that they don't want to like show that they are influencing you. But most therapists, we will sit opposite and we show our authentic self, right? Including our body language to be warm, but also competent at the same time, right? And if we feel that we you know we don't agree with something, right? So we can validate, right? But we don't want to say, yeah, I agree with you if it goes against your value, for example, right? Otherwise it will leak out. So there you need to be authentic in terms of that. But lead to this question, Yuli, I forgot already. What was your question leading to this question?
the question is like certain culture, like
Yes, that's
yes.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think yes, you need to be cognizant of cultural differences and issue, right? Like for example, proximity, right? Proximity. I don't know whether you've been to Hawaii. I haven't traveled in public transport for a while, but you know, I used to travel in the tube in England, right? You go to underground, you rush hour, you're like pack to pack, you know, probably it's still like this in the LRT, I don't know, right? But when you do that, you are very close, you see that people will look away. They wouldn't look at, it would be very strange if you're very close and then you look at people in the eyes, it will be like too much, right? So to the extent to which we have eye contact depends also physically, right? The further away, like now, you know, we are, you know, very comfortable looking each other on the screen in the video, right? Because we are like online far away. But if we physically we are close, then we don't want to look at the eye contact too much. So this is the other issue that we can highlight, right, with this online business, online issue, especially with your video turned on, right? It can be very stressful especially for an introvert, right? We haven't talked much about personality. You know, if you're like introvert, you see people eye contact you all the time, and if you're a presenter, that can be very stressful, right? Which is why in therapy, right, we do a lot of online therapy these days, and some patients that don't want to turn on the video, right? But as a therapist, do you turn on the video or not?
Yes, we do have, because
Yes.
that is
Why?
a way for us to show that we are open to them.
Exactly. Yeah. You want to gain their trust, you know, show your openness, your authentic quality, your sincerity, you know, even your vulnerability, right? Even your vulnerability. So if you feel very touched, you know, with a patient, you can cry. It's fine. You show your vulnerability. You know, if you watch Jordan Peterson, he's a Canadian clinical psychologist. You can see him crying all the time during his you know, he's a very powerful speaker, but he shows his vulnerability like nobody's business, right? If he's touched, he will be in the middle of talking, he will shed tears, right? That's authenticity to you. And Joanne, you want to interject there? Go on.
All of a sudden I had there are certain type of people, right, when they get a little bit choked up or emotional, they tend to, like, you know, cry a little.
Yes.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, right, it depends on your objective, right? As a therapist, our objective is always to help our patients. If you think that choking, that vulnerability is helping the patient, then by all means do that. If you think it's going to distract, you know, you don't want to like be sobbing, and then the patient say, "Wow, this I cannot trust this therapist," right? It's like total mess. that is not helpful then, right? So you need to look at the situation, and maybe some choking and tears can be you know, good in terms of showing your vulnerability and your authenticity as what Jordan Peterson does, right? But not to the extent where you have a total breakdown.
Okay, a quick question as well. When somebody tends to argue,
yes,
and they cry, so this is something that I would like to learn from a lawyer, that how can they argue without crying?
right. Yeah, I mean, if you argue and you cry, that might suggest, right, that it depends, right? I'm recently seeing a couple, right? I don't know whether Uma is here, but you know, the man find it very distracting when the woman, you know, the partner like cry and things, you know. He feels that it is like she's trying to make him feel guilty, trying to make him feel bad, right? So it depends whether that is the objective or not, you know. If that is the objective, and it can backfire, right? you want to because crying would infer lower competency, right? So you need to balance it, right? Some amount of tears and things might indicate vulnerability and openness, but too much would then means that your competency drop down, right? And your opponent that you're arguing with will lose respect for you. You know, this guy is not competent, so let's walk over him or her, right? So yes, so you might need to learn to emotionally regulate to that extent and hold back, you know. So how do you do that, right? That is about this idea that we have different part of ourselves, right? Going back to what you said earlier about schema mode, you know. I think the time is too short now for us to do deep dive into that. But the point is we have multiple parts, right? Multiple self. There's a part of us that is vulnerable. There's a part of us that is strong. So you need to connect to that part, right? That is confident, that is strong at that situation. Okay. So that is what it takes to be a good actress or actor, right? You know, for those of you who are into Oscar, you should see Blonde, right? This actress is amazing. She can like cry like nobody business, you know, fantastic acting. Showing vulnerability, she played Marilyn Monroe, right? Showing the vulnerability there perfectly, right? Anyway, like back to you, Yili. Yeah, you need to get connected. We cannot hear you, the Yili. No.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, now
Okay.
we can.
Okay, thank you, Joanne, and thank you, Dr. Everett, for answering all the questions. We do learn a lot for today's web panel class, which is mastering the body language to influence and persuade people. So before we end for today, right, of course, we would like to thanks again Dr. Everett for all the tips, for all the knowledge that's given for today's web panel. And we do wanted to have all the participants cooperations to open up to on your camera so that we can take a group of
a body language picture.
yes. So yes, for this we would like to have all the audience, the students, the participants to on your camera so that we can take a good photo today for today's session. Yeah, and we'll be having this topic again in the following weeks in Malay and also in Chinese for those of you who are interested, right? So there are more chance to go deeper, you know, other aspects of this topic in as well if you know these languages. So good to see all of you. Fantastic. So I hope you are able to practice some of these skills, and of course we will have you know, courses that help you to go deeper into some of these topics and and sessions as well. Yes. So Tommy, are you able to capture everyone's photo now?
Yeah, already captured.
Yeah. So thank you for
fantastic. So thumbs up is liking, is a good warm body language. All right, bye now. Everyone have a nice day. Okay, so once again, thank you. That's true. Okay, bye.
Bye.